Big Soap, I want to make sure I have you right. You're saying that reincarnation is the most likely result of death, like what's most likely to happen, but not in a religious way. Am I getting you right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Can you tell us how you came to this conclusion?
Yeah, so around the time I was 16, I was like, what was I going to say? Oh, right. This thought just kind of popped into my mind while I was bored at school. I was like, hey, wait a minute. This life exists. So therefore, it is obvious that existence is possible. And I've never seen a thing that only came around once, or anything that I'm sure has only happened once. So why would this life only happen once? Throughout all of eternity, just this life, and then nothing. And like some people give the argument like, oh, neuroplasticity, your brain would have to have the exact same structure for you to exist again. Or no, wait, not neuroplasticity. My argument is that neuroplasticity, oh, right. They use the argument that you would have to have the same brain structure to exist as yourself again in another life. And my response is one word, neuroplasticity. And if you have to have the same process of neuroplasticity in your current life to exist again, then life is predestined. I can elaborate on that if you want me to, if that didn't make sense.
No, I think I've got the gist here. I have one question before we open it up for discussion. So you're making an argument about probability. You're basically saying this is most likely the result, right? Which means that there is some number of chances over some other number of chances, a numerator over a denominator. It's a 5 out of 9 chance, or a 6 out of 10 chance, or something. But you're saying it is the most likely, so it's the biggest chance. How did you come up with your denominator? As in, what data do you have?
Actual numbers. I just believe.
Okay, all right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Seth, what is your take on this sort of theory? I'm not sure I understand the point about neuroplasticity, but I wanted to sort of just take this call real quickly to talk about the concept of a sort of scientific reincarnation.
Well, obviously, my first question probably, it has to be about the burden of proof. How would you recognize someone who had been reincarnated? How would you know? How do you define reincarnation? I hold to that. Was it, who was the astrophysicist who said something like, from stars we came from stars, and to the stars we shall return. I do hold to that sort of reincarnation model. All of the matter in my body will one day be reincorporated into the universe in some way. And there's a kind of poetry to that. But if we are all reincarnated again as ourselves, why am I not seeing the copy of myself? If that copy looks different, but is only an internal or brain copy, I should still be able to seek out those that I knew before, because it's still me. So, hey, it's me, Seth, everybody. I'm back with a different shell. How would that be measured in a lab? Right now, it just sounds like kind of an assumption, a belief. But how would we make that determined as a fact? I haven't heard any of that yet. So how would you determine it? How would you prove it? How would you demonstrate it?
What are your thoughts, Big Soap?
Well, I called in about this just to talk about it being a theory, really. I don't have any empirical evidence, so I'm not going to be like, oh, this is the case, But basically, what I mean by reincarnation is that our consciousness itself transfers, not memories, not our body, not our atoms. Our consciousness, I would say, is not likely to exist just now and then never again for all of eternity.
All right.
Okay, so hang on. Forgive me, Graham. If my consciousness then is transferred to a next level, if I level up or level sideways or level down, without my life experiences and my memories, then I'd have to assert that probably isn't me, because every moment that I have been alive, my experiences, my memories, those have shaped my values, my opinions, which will then motivate my actions and reactions, which really is me. So if some kind of a consciousness then is transferred to another form, another incarnation, but it lacks all of these other things that constituted me, I would assume it's not really me, right?
I suppose so, but what you're talking about, and this is just my take on it, is personality. Who you actually are is your consciousness, not your personality. That's who you are in this life. But your consciousness is you at the most base level.
I don't understand how you can have consciousness without memory. If we literally mean no memory, like if I popped into existence and I didn't remember everything that happened before this second, I wouldn't have, at least as my current understanding of where we as a thinking agent comes from, I wouldn't have any personality. I would be a tabula rasa, a blank slate, right? I think the key question here is, you're talking about a mind, basically. You're talking about some sort of consciousness or mind, things like that. We have never seen a mind that we have ever witnessed that is separate from some sort of physical substance, right? We see that we have brains, and that a mind seems to come from that brain. And if we do something to the brain, our mind can change. We've talked about dementia early on the show. I've had experiences when I was going on pain meds that changed my perception of the world. We had from the late 1800s, early 1900s, the guy that got the railroad spike through his brain and he turned into a very angry person. So we know that the mind probably is an emergent property of the complicated brains, but you're asserting that the mind or the consciousness, that thing continues without that physical substance. How do you propose that works?
Well, how that would work in my perception of it, consciousness itself, at least within the laws of the reality of this universe that we know of anyway, would have to be generated by something. What I mean is that this vessel that we have, our current life, our current brain, is really not likely throughout all of eternity to be the only thing that can generate our mind, our consciousness. And I'd say our mind, our brain, our memory doesn't really go along with it. Consciousness, I agree that consciousness is just an emergent property of our brain, of it being generated. I have this theory as well, the side thing that consciousness is produced by
I know we're running short on
processed.
time. Well, let's just stick with the current one.
Yeah.
Are you saying, because some people will say, well, if you have an infinite amount of time or infinite number of universes, and if you infinitely shuffle every particle in the universe, that eventually you will come back to the same configuration as Seth Andrews' brain, and therefore Seth Andrews has now been reincarnated? Is that your argument?
No, that based on my theory, that is a possibility that would technically be a part of it. But the main thing is, what was I going to say? Oh, well, right.
Let's give Seth a chance.
This brings me back
we're running
to my
out of
point
time
about
here. Hold on a second, Big Soap. Seth, do you have any questions at this point? Because quite frankly, I don't think there's anywhere we can go with this one.
No, I mean, I think we've covered it.